All right, so another day, thank God, right? New photo. I'm just not gonna waste more time here. Let's just get started with this. So, yeah, new photo for today. I'm kind of starting to see a little bit of a trend here more recently as far as that I guess I should change my quote unquote title as far as that I'm not really a photographer. I'm more leaning more towards wildlife photographer, a wildlife photographer, right? But nonetheless, I think, and this was mostly after I finished taking this photo. It was just of a normal bird just on the ground, nothing too special. But it just really got me wondering, and it really just got me kind of thinking. Obviously my goals with this journey, what I'm trying to do, right, is to take a unique photo every single day, right? As it's listed here on my whiteboard. However, like I stated, work sometimes does play a role in that. It kind of limits me as far as what type of photos I can take and what photos, and especially also in the location where I'm at. It's kind of a challenge for me to take interesting photos when I'm at work. Granted, I still try my best, right? I really do try my best. But it's very much complicated. It's complicated as far as, yeah, although I try my best with trying to make these photos just a little bit more interesting. I personally do try my hardest. But then I hope you guys realize at the same time that, I'm not going to always have the opportunity that I normally do, mostly on the weekends, to go out and take a specific type of photo that I want. So maybe that's why more recently I've been kind of leaning towards wildlife photography, because no matter in what place I'm at, as far as with what my job consists of, some way or another I'll be able to find some way wildlife there. So again, maybe this might, when I'm, on a joking matter, I say that, I should be more as a wildlife photographer. Yeah, that's for, I guess, jokes, right? But in another, like, if you look at it from another standpoint, there's kind of actually some truth behind to that as far as with the weekdays. Because although I don't want to be considered a wildlife photographer, again, just with the sheer amount of my schedule with work and, other other things, mostly consistent of work, that just may have to be the case. I'm not going to say all the time, right? I'm not going to say all the time, because hopefully, and if I'm hearing how things are planning more on the weekend, which is in a couple of days, I should get some pretty interesting shots from a place that I used to go roughly my last time that I went there 3 years ago. And man, I tell you, the photos I took from my phone, they were pretty good, but nonetheless. All right, there's a sudden cut, something just popped up, but what was I trying to say? I'm trying to think. Okay, so I think what I was basically trying to say is that although I joked around stating that I should be a wildlife photographer, that may be true, sadly, for the weekdays, although I'm going to really try my best to kind of not let that happen, because, I still want to try to go out and take or test out other photography styles, right? Not just really wildlife, because I don't know if wildlife would be something you guys would be interested, but nonetheless, if I keep on doing that over and over again, I mean, it's going to be really the same thing. So that's not gonna be too interesting for you guys to see a different animal, or how he maybe even the same animal back to back on different videos, right? But nonetheless, so far we've done a couple of changes, normal basic adjustments, not too much with this photo. In all fairness, it's probably gonna be like the same photo like yesterday, as far as with cropping, which we have done cropping. I think, the way how it is, I think it's pretty good. Simple S curve, nothing too dramatic. Color mixer, just adjusting the greens because that's mostly what the photo consists of. I'm gonna try my best to kind of keep this video relatively short, although I would say that I did fairly well for last video as far as the duration. I can see roughly 25 minutes of just a simple change that it really kind of didn't, it really kind of, or it wasn't even that noticeable to begin with. I can definitely see that. So again, it's not that I'm gonna rush it, but I'm gonna definitely do a better job as far as with time management, right? But speaking of last video, I was very happy, very happy that I was able to publish or to create and then publish my first thumbnail that I personally created on Photoshop. Granted, is it the best looking thumbnail? That may be questionable, but hey, I said, please give me some, cut me off some slack. I know I'm just starting off, but again, I don't want to overdo the thumbnail a lot. Just something simple. What I think what I'm gonna try to aim towards for these thumbnails, this is kind of how I did it last video as far as with the original and then the edited and then with like a slight blend into them. Something just as simple as that maybe. But again, it's definitely gonna be something that I will definitely play around with, and we'll just see where Photoshop takes us. Again, I really thought, like, it's kind of like what I've stated. I think it was on a video not too long ago. Watching a video and watching tutorials is one thing, but when you are actually like hands-on experience with Photoshop, it's an entirely different feeling slash experience. Because when you're watching a video, you would think that, oh, you know, it's just easy, you know, and nothing to stress out about. But then you're actually doing it, and turns out, oh wait a minute, this isn't what I expected, right? That's kind of what happened with me. Again, like I stated, I looked at a lot of videos, mostly yesterday, consisting of how to start off for Photoshop as a beginner, because that, in all fairness, that's what I am. And you know, after some time looking, I was like, okay, I should be good, but man, I tell you, I was very much incorrect with that. I was incorrect, and yeah, although it wasn't too much of a hassle because those videos did help me out. It was still kind of the challenge to just make that simple thumbnail, but nonetheless, I'm happy that it came out relatively okay for I would say for the first thumbnail and for the first video of me including a thumbnail that I personally created. I don't think we did too bad, but is there room for improvement? Like with many things, absolutely. So with color grading, I don't know, I did some changes. I'm kind of in balance between cool and warm, which is kind of, I guess, a repeated theme that I'm seeing from my videos. It's like I'm having a balance as far as with, you know, with warm colors and cool colors, with red, orange, and red, and then maybe blue, green, and violet maybe. I try to have a nice balance as far as, you know, if I can make it better. So now, although again, I try my best with these photos to try to kind of keep them in focus with the subject, it's probably just gotta be me that I still gotta learn the lens, which in this case was my 100 to 400 millimeter Sigma lens. I don't know, this lens that I have, again, it must be me that I still gotta learn it, but man, I tell you this, sometimes for the autofocus, it's quite challenging, but nonetheless, I try my best, and I think out of the photos I took today of this singular bird, this was the one that came out relatively in focus and the better looking one. So I think, again, I tried my best, but I think personally we did a pretty good job. Now, what kind of like what I stated beforehand earlier in this video, that hopefully, if things go to plan, I may have some good photos in the near future. What do I mean by that? I don't want to spoil a lot because I don't want to kind of ruin the surprise, but all I'm going to say is that there is this one certain place, hopefully either Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be in the weekend, but there's this one certain place that, depending if I get the angles correct and I do a decent job as far as capturing the photos, well, you guys may be seeing some landscape or slash scenery photos in the near future. I'm not gonna spoil a lot, but just that's a possibility. But and with included with that would be a lot of behind the scenes footage. So I would definitely be very happy with that. So I'm not gonna say much more. I'm just gonna keep it as it is. Hopefully, if everything goes to plan, I will kind of restore my memory card crisis as far as, I have photos for the next couple of days, right? But anyways, now that we've done some minor changes, although if we were to look, yeah, I mean, to be honest, we did before and after. It's very subtle. It's like you guys would never notice it. And in all fairness, I don't even notice it. It's just in all fairness, what we really just did is we just made the blacks more black. And that's really it. So again, like I stated, I don't want to waste up so much time because I don't want to make this a 20-minute video just for the photo to be relatively the same. Although it's kind of like what I stated, not that these photos had to be drastically altered to begin with. It's just minor adjustments, minor refinements that really need to be done. Although I'm questioning if we would do a better job on Photoshop. But like I stated, I'm not quite there yet. I'm not there yet with Photoshop. I still need more practice. There's no way I can be able to be done with, or there's no way I can include Photoshop, at least for right now, how the videos are. There's no way I do that because I still need, granted, if I was struggling to make a damn thumbnail that really shouldn't have been hard to begin with in the first place. Yeah, with photo editing, I can only imagine how the hell that's gonna go. That's how that's gonna go with me. But nonetheless, we're just gonna keep on with using Lightroom for the meantime, and then hopefully in the future, like I stated, we're gonna use, or we should start implementing Photoshop. I mean, yeah, you guys, there's barely any changes to begin with here. So, I mean, from how I'm seeing it, this photo didn't include or wasn't going to have much change to begin with. So, but, as far as it is right now, maybe, who knows? I'm not going to say that's it because, again, in all fairness, and maybe even in some cases, the raw photo actually came out relatively better. It's very questionable. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to take a couple minutes to see if I can somehow alter it to a point that there is a noticeable difference. And if not, then possibly the shortest video on the journey yet. So I'll be here and I'll see if I can do any changes. All right, so I've taken some time now to kind of see if there's any more changes I can add on to it. Really what I've just done is I just did an increase to saturation kind of towards the warmer side on the color wheel for global. Personally speaking, I actually liked how that made the photo a little bit more warmer, and I don't know, maybe just the warmer setting makes this photo a little bit better in my opinion, right? Just maybe tweaked a little bit with the highlights and then with the blending and balance, although normally with these two I don't change. But in this case, I was also kind of going back and forth as far as making any other adjustments on the basic section. And then also with the masking, I was seeing if there's any other changes I can make. But in all fairness, since this wasn't so much of a picture that needed drastic changes, just minor, and I mean at this point, like I say in a couple videos, but at this point I say very minor changes, think that's gonna be it. I mean, if we do one before, it's cool. There's not much saturation, quote unquote, on the color. In all fairness, what we did is just made the photo a little bit more warmer. Maybe adjusted contrast, exposure, highlights, shadows, and that's really it. So that's, to be honest, that's really gonna be the photo. Again, like I stated, if we looked at the original raw photo, the one that I took beforehand, no crops or before any crops, it wasn't any big changes to begin with. Now, if we take the edited photo, very, very subtle changes that I'm sure anyone would have thought that this could have been the raw photo, but nonetheless, like I stated, I don't have to go all out as far as with making these photos not just appealing, but go crazy as far as making the subject pop out, making it seem more unrealistic, right? I don't want that to happen. I just want to make very subtle changes, although with this one it very much was very subtle changes. I wouldn't be surprised for anyone if they thought that this was the final edited photo. I really wouldn't. But I guess that's just what happens in some cases, right? In some cases there could be drastic changes, and others they're not so much of a drastic change, but that's what it is. And quite frankly, again, I liked how it came out. Maybe could I have done more? Okay, if we just forget about Lightroom, could I have done more with this in Photoshop? Possibly, maybe. And maybe if I had known Photoshop, or if I had more practice into Photoshop now, maybe I could have switched this over to Photoshop and done a little changes, or at least attempt to. But it is what it is. I'm sure I'm definitely gonna reach to a point like this in the near future. And what I mean like that is, as far as that, I think I've reached my limitations with Lightroom, and then maybe I might take it up upon to Photoshop and see if there's any other changes I can do. But in this case, unfortunately, it's going to be just not so much, so not a drastic change, but again, it is what it is. I'm going to try to keep this video relatively short because, again, 20 minutes just for a not so big change. I wouldn't blame anyone if they weren't going to watch this just for, just because of that. It is what it is. Does it affect me? Not really, because I got more practice into Lightroom, so I can't complain about that. But other than that, I really don't got much else to say. It kind of a short, maybe underwhelming, disappointing video, but I still enjoyed making it, and I'm still gonna enjoy it when it's uploaded, right? So I personally, for me, I can't complain, but I wouldn't be surprised for anyone else watching that if they were a little bit disappointed. But I can always try to improve for the next video, right? Which is something I always try to do, but that's not always the case. But at that point, I guess I take the blame for that. But it is what it is. But other than that, I don't got much else to say. I thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys hopefully tomorrow on day 33.